At this point, I have no doubt it's over 6 figures that I've spent just trying to get help and trying to get out of pain. And I never thought I would have had to face something like that at such a young age. I actually struggle to remember some of those moments because I think they're almost repressed from my memory because of how miserable it was.
I would wake up every morning, and every morning I was tired, which always confused me. I'm like, I have been in bed for 11 hours, and I would wake up and I would feel like death, and I would just get through the day. But it was getting worse.
Well, there was a wide variety of diagnosis that I was given from different doctors. One was post-concussion syndrome, something with anxiety, some anxiety disorder, chronic pain, different things. So I had an umbrella, I had a wide variety of diagnosis given to me, but I couldn't figure out exactly what was wrong.
Chronic disease is 92%, accounts for 92% of deaths in this country, and almost nothing is studied at NIH about the etiology of our chronic disease epidemic.
It's driving up healthcare costs to what I think $4.9 trillion. 40% of that's paid by the government, almost $2 trillion.
We got to treat this stuff so we can really, save costs from that angle, but just help people in terms of feeling better, right? And the quality of life.
It's the real pandemic. The idea that anybody doesn't have this is almost silly because everybody slips, falls, everybody has compromise in their nutrition, excess toxicity in the nervous system and in the environment that's affecting your nervous system. So growth and development patterns are affected for everybody from my generation, even before my generation, and it's just getting worse.
Sleep apnea is known to be comorbid with over 40 different really chronic conditions known to man. We're talking about everything from early onset dementia, Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, fibromyalgia, cancer. There's very few chronic illnesses that are not either caused by sleep apnea or made worse by the condition.
OSA is the end stage of breathing disorder that is not addressed, and now we have a label. That's what it is. It's just a symptom. Pretty much like snoring itself.
And so to be able to find a way to address with a single broad stroke, how do we improve generally the health and wellness of an entire society, help that society to breathe and sleep better?
Yeah, my name's John Napoli. I'm here because I'm a patient of the Vivos Institute in Denver. They've been helping me to fix my body basically after this whole journey of chronic pain that I've been dealing with. My pain started in early 2022. At the time I was living in Tulum, Mexico. I was there for about 3 months and I was working remotely for a software company. I was training, also doing a lot of kickboxing training. I was actually training to do a fight, which was kind of a bucket list thing that I'd wanted to do since I was a kid. While I was living in Mexico, I started developing these really weird symptoms. And it kind of started at the base of my skull, where it was a headache unlike I'd ever had before. Just this immense pressure at the base of my skull. And my first thought was, this is from kickboxing. I must have taken a concussive blow to the head or some kind of trauma to my head from the kickboxing training I was doing and the sparring and all of that. Fast forward a couple months, I'd moved back to San Francisco, where I'm from originally. And I had imaging done of my head. I had all these different tests done. I saw a couple doctors. They didn't find anything. And they said I was most likely dealing with some sort of migraine.
What happens when you have a chronic illness, what that means is it's not going away. It's just going to stay there. And chronic illnesses in general, you can't really cure them. You can manage them and you can improve things. For example, if you use a CPAP machine, that doesn't cure the sleep apnea. What it does is it takes care of it that night. You stop using the equipment, the sleep apnea is back the next day, that kind of thing. So a chronic illness just keeps on going and isn't really cured.
First symptom for John Napoli, pain. And it was not just normal pain, it's debilitating pain. He could not hold a normal job. His life, sleep, every minute of his day was consumed by it. This gentleman is not even 30 years old yet, and he is so consumed and dysfunctionally in his body. He cannot move, can function, can go to the gym.
And my symptoms remained after I got back to San Francisco, and because I was given the green light to return to all my normal activities, that's what I did. And I didn't do any kickboxing in San Francisco. I kind of stopped that pursuit of trying to do a kickboxing bout, but I did return to powerlifting and weightlifting, which is a hobby that I've had for many years. And when my symptoms really started to spiral out of control, I had done a particularly heavy set of deadlifts. I did 575 pounds for 2 repetitions, which I had done before, but for some reason on this set, when I set down the weights after the second rep, I felt that something in my body had been jostled. And it wasn't like an acute injury. I didn't blow my back, like hurt my spine or hurt my neck or anything like that. I just felt like my nervous system was rattled when I set the weights down. And I stopped lifting for the rest of that day. And I remember for the rest of that week, I just felt terrible. I couldn't sleep. I had a feeling of exhaustion like I'd never had before. And about a week after that lift, I contracted COVID for the first time. I felt like I was having a heart attack.
It's hard to put life in perspective if your body isn't functioning properly. But the problem is, every single provider that had trying to get an attempt to address it was an epic fail. So a lot of times we're getting procedures to address the pain because we're desperate and it's causing more problem than solving. So when he came to me, and it was December of this year, just my heart dropped.
I'm Brad Jordan, and I live in California, but I'm here mainly because I've not been able to find answers for kind of the way that I am. It's painful and a lot of dysfunction, and I've never really been able to figure it out. Yeah, I grew up in the South, so grew up in like Alabama and Texas. Did graduate school at Arkansas, so PhD in biochemistry. Then I moved to California for a job, been there about 20 years. About 2 kids, marriage, all that kind of stuff. And then about 2020, I guess, whenever COVID started, I got into cycling, like a lot. I've always had athletic injuries, things like that. So knee injuries, ankle injuries, despite not being a high-level athlete. But I started cycling a lot during COVID and started getting this really bad low back pain that I didn't usually have. And then it just kind of snowballed, got worse. So I went to a few places to try to figure out what it was. Over time, things just kept getting worse, having more like hip and back pain and neck pain and things like that. So none of the traditional medical approaches worked for me. I had a number of back procedures, things like that to try to get at what they thought was a disc issue or something like that. But it turned out to be postural related.
Brad is a complex case where he's had multiple injuries, he's had compromises in his nervous system, so he's really failing in his adaptation. And that thing is understanding that adaptation is the nervous system. How much can you handle hits a level, a max level in the system, and then you start failing, having more and more symptoms and compromises.
Your average person, probably doesn't necessarily think about how each part of their body is feeling on a daily basis. But when you have a certain level of dysfunction and you feel that something is off, you become really analytical about your body, and then you start wondering why, and then you start looking into it, and the more you learn, the kind of more it blows your mind,
As a regulating system, a cruise ship is an enclosed vessel that goes out there, and it has crews, and it has passengers, chefs, all kinds of things that kind of work together. Now, could you say that if one part of the ship has a problem, it's only that isolated part of the ship? Like if there's a hole in the entire vessel, is it just an isolated problem in that part? No. If the electricity's got issues, the entire system would be brought down. It's the same thing with the human body. So when we have issues with the orthopedic alignments, tongue posture, nasal breathing, now the endocrine system, the digestive tract, the cardiovascular is involved. We're into the second layer of the health and homeostasis.
So we've been trying to reestablish core stability with him, which is foundational, meaning that you have to have the whole craniosacral system is based on the core or pelvis, which is musculoskeletal, but is also neurological, to stabilize and to calm down, so his whole nervous system will calm down, so that we can actually get into the whole airway, TMJ, head and neck position, which were chronic issues that he was having, that he's been searching for, that has not really been rectified to this point, which is what we're in process of doing now.
Yeah, I've definitely had to give up things that I love, because of it. I think that, being in a bad alignment or position for a long time and running my body into the ground with triathlons and sports and things like that, I indirectly attribute having to give all that up to this, right? Not just the injuries. The injuries happen because of this. And then for me, I think it's more just like being in a constant state of discomfort. The only time I'm relatively comfortable is when I'm asleep.
If we catch them early, removing the reasons for compensation as early as we can, they're not going to spend the rest of their adulthood chasing the symptoms and grinding their bodies. The difference is not just managing the disease, but addressing it so we can make life more enjoyable, treating a lot of chronic conditions that are boiling down to not being able to breathe and sleep so that they're not sick. This is not just about obstructive sleep apnea and snoring, it's about chronic diseases.
Chronic diseases might lead to increased mortality, more morbidity in terms of more hospitalizations, more impairments in function, more hospital resource utilization, poor quality of life. We want to prevent chronic diseases. And one of those chronic diseases is actually obstructive sleep apnea.
No one takes sleep apnea serious. They laugh when I say I have that problem. Haha, it's funny. That shit is a serious problem. People with sleep apnea get to say that we fight death every night. I'm this close to dying, and I fucking win every time I wake up a survivor.
Sleep apnea. I have sleep apnea. And do you know about this?
Yeah.
Do you snore?
I have a mouthpiece.
You're like 50% more likely to have car accidents if you have sleep apnea.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It'll fuck up your job. You won't get hard-ons. It'll ruin everything.
Some people, it's really bad too. And it goes on for years and years and years. They don't even know about it.
Fatigue caused by sleep apnea may have been a factor in September's deadly train crash in Hoboken. CBS 2's Tony Aiello has more.
When I first heard about this accident, I thought it was likely to be a falling asleep accident.
Sleep expert Stephen Feinsilver, not surprised by the latest involving the engineer in the Hoboken train crash.
I don't snore. Don't be embarrassed. Obstructive sleep apnea is serious. Every time your airway closes down and you wake up fighting for breath, it puts tremendous strain on your heart. Dr. Schreck is absolutely right in prescribing this for you.
For the first few years of, after my article came out about sleep, it wasn't even called sleep apnea at that time. The name sleep apnea didn't really appear until about 1976, obstructive apnea. It was thought to be exquisitely rare. exquisitely rare. And it continued to be thought of as exquisitely rare because people simply didn't recognize that the main symptom, being very, very sleepy, had an important cause, and you can investigate.
The problem arises from your airway collapsing multiple times during the night. So what it does is it causes you to work harder to breathe. It may lead to sleep fragmentation. It may lead to oxygen levels dropping. It disrupts your sleep altogether.
And the stopping breathing is called apnea. You are not breathing.
Continues. We are inside the Loft 100 studios in Southern California, as always. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, we appreciate you being along for the ride. That is the uber-talented Dave Prater Quattro. And back here at the bar, it's Costa and it's Sully.
There we go.
Did we ever find out where Mary Bird Godwin is?
Yeah, last time we saw her, she was backstage for the Warped Tour.
Again.
Watching Tiffany. See her play? We're brought to you by Prudential. Let Prudential be your rock for retirement. Also brought to you by Bayer Advance. Better science, better results. Starbucks coffee. And let's not forget our good friends at Bloomin' Brands and their fine family of restaurants. Carrabba's Italian Grill, Outback Steakhouse. And Taylor Guitars. Oof. Look at that. I'm drinking one now.
Pop me a Taylor. What are you fighting there, Chico?
Chris Castillo, our producer, came in sick last week.
See, that's a major no-no in this world.
Oh, that'd be fine. I don't want to bother anybody. I'll just come to work.
At least she walks up and she goes, "Hey, Sully, how are you?"
No, she was very good. I don't think I caught it from her.
Okay.
I think I caught it from you. Hey, what do we got?
This is awesome.
I remember.
Yep.
Audio
Eye.
Matt Fisch is the CEO of AEye, AEye. Their ticker symbol is LIDR.
This is the LiDAR guy.
It is the LiDAR guy, and we're so happy to have Mr. Fisch back with us on the show. Matt, as always, thank you for joining us. Welcome back to the Big Biz Show, sir.
Wow, great to be back. I think it's been a couple years. So
yeah, too long.
Quite a few things have happened. Yeah.
Well, we needed to. There was that incident. You and I traveling, talking about LiDAR, and we ran into something. So we figured we should take it out. Totally kidding. Hey, for the folks that don't recall what you folks do, and now that we have literally AI involved at a much higher level, let's talk about what you guys do. Give us an overview once again. Let's talk about the industry.
All right. Well, great. We don't have LiDAR Jones here today, but I'm happy to do a brief fill-in. I think the best way to look at what AI does, it's that supercharged vision, if you will. We give vision to that artificial intelligence, and that's the link essentially between artificial intelligence and the physical world. And that link allows the artificial intelligence to influence machines, robots, other things, saves lives, improves safety, greatly improves automation at factories, so on and so forth. But again, it's that supercharged vision that connects artificial intelligence to the real world.
Talk about real applications. So just for our viewers and our listeners across the world, across the country, when you're talking about this type of technology, we're probably already using it in some way, shape, or form, correct?
Yeah, that's right. In many cases, you may not know it, but there are supercharged vision or LiDAR units that sit on top of traffic intersections and help change traffic signals to avoid a collision between a vehicle that may be running a red light or preventing a collision with a pedestrian. One of the things that we talk about a lot in terms of LiDAR and the supercharged vision is giving autonomy to vehicles, so you can take your hands off the wheel, for example, and it's been linked quite commonly with autonomous driving, and also just improving safety. We can see very far down the road, we can see in bad weather, we can see in the dark, and thus improving the ability for the vehicle to react or intervene in a dangerous situation when the conditions outside may not be so good.
Matt, as AI improves, we're all at the point now where we're looking at something on our phones or on a social media website, and it's like, okay, is this real or is this AI? As AI improves, though, is it making your job a lot easier? Are you able to do things in a much more efficient, faster manner?
Well, Well, look, I think the challenge with bringing AI to the market in a way that continues to influence our lives positively requires a lot of software. And for example, one of the things we've done, we announced a couple of months back a new partnership with NVIDIA. And NVIDIA is absolutely amazing when it comes to bringing the software piece. That's the glue, if you will, that glues the physical reality into the machine and the virtual world. And so NVIDIA's entrance into the market with their Drive platform, their Jetson platform, which we have been integrated to and tested on and validated in the last couple of months, totally supercharges our ability to increase our outreach, touch a broader set of users and customers potentially. So absolutely like to recognize a company like NVIDIA for making our lives easier and more broad reaching, for example.
So talk about the industry as a whole. Where are we focusing at this point? Obviously, this is the market adoption rate has exploded here. How has that changed your guys' plans, and what's going to happen here, short term, long term?
Right. So if you look at autonomous driving, for example, it's really caught fire in China. China's leading the market, if you will, globally in terms of adoption of LiDAR and autonomous driving. It's been a catalyst for us. As we mentioned, I think a couple years back, we do have a partnership in China that allows us to reach into the hottest market for LiDAR. So autonomy is really catching fire, led globally by China. And of course, we're doing work here in the States and in Europe as well. But one of the things that has really accelerated quite a bit since we last spoke is what we call just physical AI in general. I mentioned the example about putting intelligence plus supercharged vision at traffic intersections, factory automation. We're helping prevent accidents in the rail world, so we can see very, very far. A train takes a lot of time to stop. Security. Data centers are very popular. For example, they're all over the place, helping to protect data centers, which is a lot of capital in those things. See in the dark, see intruders coming in, and also airport safety, looking for objects on the runway. It's really this physical AI is gone viral, and it's produced a huge amount of demand for our supercharged vision, so it's called.
Hey, Matt, talk about, financially, you guys are as stable as can be in comparison to a couple of years back. Talk about some strategic partnerships, talk about strategic investments, talk about, capital formation and where you guys are standing right now, because it looks like you're pretty solid at this point.
Well, we introduced a new product at the beginning of this year at the Consumer Electronics Show. It's called Apollo, and it's about a little bit larger than a cell phone. It's very small, and it also has capabilities. With Apollo, we can see 1 kilometer down the road in the dark, and that really, the market really appreciated the relevance of that, and that's allowed us to really bring the capital into the company that we need to be stable financially. This is also, customers look at this at financial stability, and it's really allowed us to just focus on getting the product, this product Apollo, out into the market. It's one less big thing to worry about, and we're just focused on going to market. We still have that same low capital or capital light model that we talked about last time. So our investors love the fact that we're not burning a lot of cash to produce a lot of product right now.
Let's talk about your press release a couple days ago. Flash Eye, that's a pretty big one. Another revenue funnel, it looks like.
Right. So, look, in order to connect, as we talked about at the beginning, to connect this supercharged vision to the real world, you need software. And one of the brilliant things that our partner Flash Eye is doing here is allowing us to, create all that software glue. I think it's super important to generate scale for our business. And they do amazing things like figure out, okay, is that a person over there? Is it an animal? Is it an intruder? And putting that, we call that perception AI, and narrow that glue between the supercharged vision and the decision making that happens in the machine to actually make decisions and save lives, improve safety and whatnot. Great partner.
Of AEYE, their ticker symbol LIDR, website aeye.ai. Matt, do not be a stranger. We want you back on the show in a more normal rotation to find out more about all the great stuff you are doing there with AEYE. Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer@sullyentgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Big Biz Show, live from the Loft 100 Studios here in Southern California. We roll on. Always rolling on is the date, Trader Quattro. Back here at the bar, it's Costa. It is Marybird Godwin, and it is Sully. There you go. The voice is holding up, it sounds like. All right, I took a cootie pill yesterday and one this morning. Yeah. And one more to go tomorrow. Okay. I don't take hardly any prescription medication. Mm-hmm. And so when I get an antibiotic, it freaking works. Did you share lunch with a girl on the playground? Is that how you got the cooties? Because that's how you normally get them. Normally, right? I don't know how.
Sharing lunch code for something?
No, do you know what it is? No, literally sharing lunch. But no, here's what it is. It's how often do you not? How often don't you? Do you wash your hands like we used to? No. I mean, I'm more cognizant than I was. Yeah. Think about how many times you're in a department store and you lick the escalator handle. Oh. I do it all the time.
They're so disgusting.
Just yesterday. You're gross. We have Jennifer Ernst back. Jennifer was with us last week with Tivic Health, their ticker symbol TIVC. And she was so fantastic. I wanted her back, but also we have a great press release that came out today that I wanted to talk about. But there's a number of things going on in that world, and we welcome her back to the Big Biz Show. Her name is Jennifer Ernst, CEO, co-founder, Tivic Health, TIVC. Jennifer, so great to have you back on the show so soon. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing really well. Very excited about the announcement this morning.
And look at this. Look at this green scarf.
Although I'm not too sure. I got to ask. I'm not too sure about licking the elevator handle.
It builds immunity. But he does lick elevator buttons, but this was an escalator rail. Escalator rail. Totally different. Exactly. But equally as gross. Hey, talk about your press release real quick, and let's get into Tivic, which really is an undisclosed sort of opportunity. But I want to go into Entolimod. I believe I'm saying that correctly. But talk about the press release a little bit.
So when we talked last time, I shared a bit about a drug called Entolimod that we licensed earlier this year. It's a very late-stage compound, late-stage asset. In fact, it helps boost the immune system. So for any of you that are out there, if you're going to be out there licking escalators,
say it. You know it.
You probably want some of this in your pocket. Sorry, I couldn't let it go. So it's immunotherapeutic. It helps boost the immune system, and it's a huge amount of late-stage data. It's actually a protein. So what it is a protein that selectively activates parts of the immune system. And it's been shown a huge amount of data, $190 million invested in it previously. And the asset we're looking at right now for radiation, preventing radiation damage, or actually treating damage after exposure to radiation, whether that is a cancer treatment or whether that is a nuclear disaster, for example. This was originally developed for treatment of acute radiation syndrome after large-scale radiation exposure. So as a military countermeasure for field use, we licensed it earlier this year, seeing the opportunity also, as you see in the graph here, in areas of cancer treatment like neutropenia and lymphocyte exhaustion. These are the side effects that come with radiation treatment.
Jennifer, sorry.
Continue,
ahead.
please. No, my question is, how is it an ingestible pill? Is it an injection? How do you get it into your body?
Right now it's an injection. There is a pathway that we're looking to be working with BARD on for an oral formulation. Right now it is an injection.
Okay.
And the big thing that we announced today, this compound was originally developed. The company that developed it couldn't get it over the finish line in terms of getting it to manufacturing, getting it through the FDA. So when we talk about getting something through the FDA, they want safety data, which we have oodles of. They want efficacy data, which we have a substantive amount of, and they need to see manufacturing. So I thought it might be fun to just talk a little bit about manufacturing of protein.
Yeah, because you could get into the manufacturing business of protein, Mike, and be a micro protein manufacturer in your next life. Yeah. It's a skill. It really is interesting because this protein that you're talking about it activates the immune system, right? Is that, am I accurate in saying that? Am I reading that correctly?
You are, and it's a very selective activation. There's these parts of the immune system, they're called toll-like receptors. They're basically the sentries on the immune system, and there are different kinds of them. We have one that's a TLR5, it's a particular one. It's a very ancient activation system, so it has, it's responsive to, it looks a lot like you have a bacteria in your body, except we manufacture something that's not a bacteria, but gets your body to respond as if it's responding to one. So it's very selectively activating. Nice thing about the piece that we're using is a lot of immunotherapeutics. If you activate the immune system, you don't really have a way to quiet it down afterwards. This one does not have any of the safety issues that are associated with many of the things that will jack up the immune system. So kind of acts in a very primitive pathway in the body, and it's a very quiescent kind of experience.
So let's talk about that supply chain you talked about, because this is the interesting part of this thing. Because I don't think we ever think about this in terms of biopharma companies. They have this idea, they have the scientists, and they have the drug. We never think about how it's actually made. I mean, this is part of the process. Talk about that.
Right. So when you take something from basically making the molecule in the protein dish, you've got something that can express a protein or make it. We're talking about living cells making it. So let me use a kind of more common example. When we talk about moving something to manufacturing, let's use a cooking example. If we take a bunch of vegetables, put some broth in a pot, and throw them in, you could get a very light, summery soup out of it. Mm-hmm. Or if you keep it cooking for a while, stir it, maybe throw some beef in there and boil it too long, all of a sudden you've got a hearty winter stew. I mean, these are completely different outcomes, and the proteins themselves, depending on what you put into the batch. Now, why today's milestone was such a big deal for us is that we are trying to match a manufacturing process that, don't tell anyone, these cells have been frozen for 15 years. So we're trying to match.
Wow.
Holy moly.
Don't tell anyone. We're trying to match a manufacturing process that was last run 15 years ago. And we did it. We were able to get the cell line with our partner Scorpius Manufacturing, who's out in Texas. We were able to get the cell line not only as productive as what was produced back then, but actually producing better.
Wow.
So when you grow these, you need to grow the cells. You need them to express the right protein. The protein has to be in the right shape, size, everything else. Yeah. It has to be at the right consistency. If we go back to that soup analogy, and what we have completed is the first stage of validating that we can bring that manufacturing process back online, have the proteins grow, have them have the same kind of activation that we saw in all of our original data set.
Hey, Jennifer.
So this was an incredibly exciting moment for us.
Well, it is. And first of all, it's a windfall. Number two, now does that mean you harvest proteins now for the next 15 years or for 15 years from now? Is that part of the equation?
Yeah, you grow and harvest.
Yeah.
So different types of cell lines, there's different processes involved in all of that, of course, but you grow, you replicate, you grow, and you harvest them. So yeah, this is a momentous piece for us because it's also the first step of the.
Well, it's proof of concept. I mean, it's something that you guys are counting on that actually you're bringing to fruition, and now there can't be any naysayers in terms of being able to bring it to market. And you guys are in the NDA phase anyway. Talk about tens of millions of dollars invested by the government into this thing, because this is really an interesting story.
Right. The original cell design, designing the protein itself, and then all of the animal testing and human testing that goes with showing the safety and efficacy. There was about $190 million invested in programs, much of that coming from BARDA, DoD, NASA, because of the radiation that the astronauts see out in space. From NASA and several other government agencies.
Sure.
So when we licensed it, we went straight to the White House, straight to the heads of the agencies and said, look, we've taken over this drug now. We've got manufacturing expertise that I brought in, and we're firing that up. So now we have active molecules. We have the active protein. And I can say Tivic has grown its first Entelemod cells.
That's amazing. We're making you come down. We're making you come down to San Diego studio next time.
Yeah.
So we can hang out. I mean, you need to come down and hang in the studio.
Jennifer, you had me at stew. Please come back in the studio. Jennifer Ernst, co-founder and CEO Tivic Health. TIVC is the ticker symbol. All right, keep it right here. There is much more to come your way. More cooking tidbits as well on The Big Biz Show. In over 175 countries, all the ships at sea. You can hear us and see us on the American Forces Radio and TV network. As always, shout out to our brave men and women who guard our wall 24/7. That's the J Trader Quattro right up there on stage. Of course, back here at the bar, it is Costa, it's Mary Bert Godwin, and it is Sully, and it is one of our favorite guests in studio, Mr. Allan Evans, CEO, Unusual Machines, UMAC ticker symbol.
I want to bring you back to not such a great time when we first interviewed you, which was a great interview, but it was tariff time.
Yeah.
And remember, and look at the tariff issue for you as a parts manufacturer. Man, that was I'm not going to suggest it was a scary time, but boy, that was the time you had to pivot as fast as the decisions were coming. Bring us forward now. How did it shake out now the dust has somewhat settled there?
Well, first, my team did an amazing job. So this is not me at all. It's the people who I get to work with.
This is like the thing. I keep on bringing up Bill Burr. Remember Bill Burr talking about he's not that impressed with Steve Jobs?
Yeah.
He goes, well, I'm not that impressed. He goes, well, how could you not be impressed with Steve Jobs? He goes, hey, I want a device that plays all my music. I can make phone calls. Go.
Yeah.
Make it.
Yeah.
Go make it. Come back.
Yeah. So they made it. Yeah. So credit where it is. And I'm going to tell you their story.
Yeah.
A lot of reaction, a lot of time putting it out there. But because of it now, we settled into the Chinese tariffs at about 30%. Mm-hmm. So we saw margin improvement last quarter, coming out of it, and it's stabilized there. So you're seeing the world stabilize a little bit. Another one that is completely sort of ignored in this whole thing is the de minimis exemption cancellation.
Yeah.
Which is, it used to be like you do Timo or Shine or whatever, and they could ship anything in, and you wouldn't pay tariffs on anything under $800.
Right.
So that was super nasty to our retail channel because people would go order stuff at $500 or $600. And so that exemption going away actually really helped our consumer business.
Yeah, sure.
Be more competitive. But I think that's a surprise where everybody sees it otherwise. But the stabilization now puts us in a place where we're moving more to the U.S. than we thought because the tariff change makes it better for us and for our customers to manufacture.
When you see news like that happen back then, and I didn't get a chance to ask you this back then, but do you respond or do you react, or is it both? Because reactionary, I think is necessary sometimes, but if you go too fast, you guys could have missed all that margin potential, correct?
We expected some tariff to stick around. So you got to be reactionary, and we always guessed that it would end at 20%. Because we always said, okay, we think we can be up to 20% more than the Chinese stuff to be competitive. It ended at 30%. So we guessed a little wrong.
Yeah,
but in our favor.
It's a rounding error in terms of overall revenue model and, of course, earnings when they come out at the end of the day, especially with this new budget coming out. I think most people are going to say, what's going to happen at the end of Q4? So talk about the Pentagon. Talk about the budget deal. Talk about everything that's going on in Washington right now as it
yeah.
to how you guys are planning and replanning.
Well, and this, I'd say, is the whole defense sector, the whole government sector. The budget came along super late this year. And so then imagine you're in the government. It's not like the government just has one person who writes all the checks. It goes all down to like each department and division.
Yeah.
That's gone through, but then they have to get permission to write the checks so that they're not just buying your chili cheese almond milk. We'll talk about that later. But, there's some anti-corruption stuff that they got to go in and do.
Sure.
And so now you're seeing everybody try to rush this money out before the next budget fight. So you're about to see the start domestically, and in this cycle of what it looks, people are calling like a defense super cycle that really leans toward drones, where they expect military modernization budgets to occur over the next 2 or 3 years in the U.S. and in
Did
Europe.
Doge hamper you guys help you guys? You talked about cutting out the corruption and all the.
So Doge, coupled with the government sort of not having a budget, iced out anybody who was defense. Because think about it, you're a procurement person in the government. You don't have a budget. And if you write a check, you might get fired.
Right. Yeah. So you're just going to sit there and you're slow roll everything until it all goes through.
You're going to sit on your hands till they go numb and then shake them.
You talked
about, and that's what happened.
What's interesting, you talk about an emerging market and a new sort of industry, and you talk about your team. You guys just hired what they are calling a veteran drone executive, and you put a release out on that. You have a veteran. How do you have a veteran drone executive when when this industry's only been around 20 years? That's pretty good.
Yeah,
you found the one guy or a couple guys, but seriously, this new appointment is pretty impressive for enterprise sales for you guys.
It's been weird. Like, since it's all worked out, we get a ton of inbound, like super qualified candidates that like what we're doing, because in a world where you can't pick the winning drone company, you can pick the only parts company.
Yeah.
And, he worked at one of the carriers in the UK, and he sold SIM cards to drone companies. So he sold parts. And you're like, well, yeah. And then for us, if you're a parts vendor, it's only 50 people. Yeah. That's your whole world. Like, there's 50 buyers out there. And so if you know them, you can go in and talk to them and be like, what are your problems? Let's fix them. Right? That's what the sales process looks like for a parts vendor. It's not the same as consumer, where it's ad spend and any of that.
Right, but still, though, when you look at this federal budget and the large purchase of large drones, that changes the face of maybe what you planned a year ago, right? I mean, is this going to change? You knew it was coming, but in terms of how this is going to benefit the business, that's going to turn you guys into a juggernaut here, based upon what the spend is for large drones for the military, correct?
It's going faster than I thought, and I think there's another thing in there that the Transportation Secretary Duffy just came out with drone dominance domestically, where they're enabling what's called BVLOS, which is beyond visual line of sight, and they're really speeding that up, and that's your Chipotle burrito delivery.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that.
Why is he looking at me?
He's pointing to the right guy.
This is my family. We DoorDash
We
Chipotle often.
We talked about this today, how the burritos will be delivered on your doorstep here within the corner by drone.
I mean, I'm not mad at it.
Are some grocery stores doing this? Like Walmart's doing
they're starting. Walmart's doing it a whole bunch. DoorDash is doing it.
Yeah, we need burritos.
Amazon's doing it.
Other than that, what are you most excited about in the next 18 months? In so much that you can disclose as a public company, but what are you focusing on next, and what's the future's so bright you got to wear shades moment for you guys?
Well, I'm really excited to get through the next couple of months and see where it all lands.
Yeah.
Like right now is the really high uncertainty into the outcome.
Yep.
I'm excited in seeing what the orders are over the next couple of months and actually being able to plan. We're turning on the motor factory. I just walked through it before, and pretty excited to see that start kicking out stuff. And it's been great. We're hiring a bunch of people to build stuff in the States again. And I grew up in Michigan. And I remember the whole collapse kind of the auto industry. And it's really cool to be on the other side of that.
Yeah, exactly right.
That is awesome.
His name is what? What does he say? He finished our whole show for us.
He did. And I'm glad he did. Allan Evans, CEO, Unusual Machines.
Founding investor of chili cheese.
That's right. Almond milk. Coming to your house via drone shortly. Unusualmachines.com is a website. Ticker is UMAC. And that will do it for this edition of The Big Biz Show. As always, everybody out there, thank you for being along for the ride. We'll see you next time.